and on the first ever interview here on the AT Radio Show podcast. It's my pleasure to welcome my high school buddy, 1 year behind mine, graduated Warwick Valley High School in 2006, James Meehan AKA Smokey. Smokey, how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing real good.
So tell us, just sum up where you are, what you've done, why you decided to do it. Just give us a little summary.
All right. Summary thus far is so I am a part of the 2012 class of southbound Appalachian Trail thru-hikers. I started off in Maine. I'm headed down to Springer Mountain, Georgia. Currently, I'm in Damascus, Virginia, which is one of the famous trail towns where Trails is. Basically, a big party where former thru-hikers and current thru-hikers kind of hang out and discuss various things in regards to the trail, places to go, and all that. That's held here. That's why it's one of the famous towns, and it's also a big milestone for me at the moment because I'm now 4 miles from the Virginia-Tennessee border. So I'll be out of Virginia, which is the longest state on the Appalachian Trail. So 1/4 of the trail this year. It's 550 miles roughly. And yeah, I don't know. I decided to do the trail mainly because it's one of those classic journeys in which so many people kind of think about and wish they could do, but not everybody does due to the fact that it is quite the investment to hop off work or cut off whatever you're doing in your life for 5 to 6 months to go and do nothing but hike. It's kind of a financial burden, but I'm at the perfect age right now. I graduated college a year ago about, so I saved up some money, and I wanted a nice big adventure in my life before I start to join said real world. So here I am, and I went southbound particularly just out of A, timing, and B, due to the fact that about 2,500 people, I think this year, attempted to do a northbound hike, and just it's a massive, massive crowd of people, and it's like, I'm out here to have a social aspect as well, but not that big of a social aspect. So southbound was kind of a good way to go because, I mean, for example, tonight I'm just here with see 1, 2, 3, 5 other hikers who are going southbound as well, which is, in my opinion, like a really solid number. It's not too overwhelming. And I'm also down in the south at perfect fall weather. It's a beautiful day out this morning, and it's a nice, brisk, cool night. And apparently it's supposed to continue throughout the rest of the week. But yeah, thus far I've done about 1,717 miles, and I have about 468 left to go. And I should probably be summiting Springer Mountain in about somewhere in mid-November. November 15th is my goal.
Before we go back and start asking questions about what you've done, let's look ahead. Out of the 400 and plus miles you have left, it's getting to the end. What do you think is your toughest challenge, or what are you looking forward to about finishing, or is it kind of bittersweet right now? What lies ahead for you? What's planned and what's just up in the air?
Right now, in regards to what lies ahead, is the terrain is for now, terrain-wise, it's pretty easy going. The next, like, I want to say 60 miles or so is pretty legit cruising miles where you can just kind of start hiking, and it doesn't, like, it's pretty flat. It's just small rollers and doesn't really kill you at all. And then once we get into the Roan Highlands area and Roan Mountain area, I'm really looking forward to that because we start hitting what is known as the Grassy Balds area, where it's just beautiful grassy mountaintops with no trees on it. It's just nice, clear grass and 360-degree views. So I'm really looking forward to that. And then
you still have the highest point on the AT ahead as well, right?
Yep, I'm hitting the Great Smoky Mountains after the Roan Mountain area. That's some of the highest elevation I'll be at continuously. And I'll be at 6,000 feet for the first time since since New Hampshire, actually. That'll be my first time at 6,000 feet. So yeah, I got the Smokies, I got the grassy balls of Tennessee. Then after that, it seems to, at least in must-see views and terrain and whatnot, it seems to just kind of taper off into just your generic green tunnel. There's nothing really that I've heard about that I really need to make sure I see. And it gets a little more annoying in terrain. It seems to be what are known as PUDs, pointless ups and downs, kind of viewless mountaintops that you just go up and down a bit, which get a little bit restless. And then then there's Springer, which I looked at the elevation profile. Springer Mountain actually really does not look that tough of a mountain for southbounders. It actually looks like a pretty easy ascent.
I think that's probably the one negative. We were talking when I did a section in the Delaware Water Gap with you. I think the southbound hike, looking at all the aspects, might be the way to go. You get in shape right away, you get some of the harder parts over with. But I do think the one big negative is the anticlimactic finish of Springer. You kind of, from what I've heard and read, that you just kind of walk out, out of the woods and it's over, not the summit of Katahdin. Is that something that you've thought about? You're disappointed, or after all this?
It's a little disappointing. I mean, it was we started at Katahdin, this like massively beautiful area on a clear day, which I was fortunate enough to get one. I could see for miles and miles on end, and the views were just beautiful and endless. And then I go southbound, and I get to Springer Mountain, and I think there might be a little viewpoint there, but predominantly it's just covered with trees, and as opposed to just a big sign, there's just a plaque and a rock, and you're just kind of in the middle of the woods. So in regards to finishing, it's a bit underwhelming in comparison to the northbounders finish.
Once again, we're talking to 2012 southbound thru-hiker Smokey. Let's go back to the beginning. Do you remember the moment? Did you have like an aha moment where you were 100%, that was the day, that was the time, you 100% knew you were going to do the trail? Or is it just kind of like a gradual thing?
Pretty much when I got to Monson, I had a lot more confidence. It was after my first 100 miles. The one thing that's funny for southbounders is that you go up to Katahdin, and then you're dropped right in the middle of what is known as a 100-mile wilderness, which is just a 100-mile stretch of no society really at all. Your only real stop is a place called White House Landing, which is just a little restaurant / bunkhouse that caters to both hikers and fishermen. You can do a little resupply there, but other than that, it's 100 miles of desolate woods. So we pretty much have very limited options as to hopping off the trail through there. And it was pretty rough starting off there without my trail legs yet. So when I got to Monson, after just tough mountains, and then the last 4 days I just got nothing but rain, and I got there, I was pretty confident that I was going to finish. And then once I got through southern Maine, I was pretty positive I was going to finish, because southern Maine was even more difficult than the 100-mile wilderness. You were trekking up and down mountains pretty much all day, and Maine is an unforgiving mistress in regards to the fact that, as opposed to the South, which is a lot more switchbacks and gradual ascents, Maine is just, here's a tall mountain, and here's the straight up vertical path in which we will take you over sheer rock and